Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour, your source for all hard rock, heavy metal, new metal, alternative, punk, horror punk, hardcore, rock, and all local bands with your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather.
Hey motherfuckers, it's Dizzy X Draztik from the Smack City Saviors, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather, and as always, I bring you guys awesome interviews, and today I have an awesome interview lined up for you guys and gals out there listening. I have a good friend of mine that's on the line right now. His name is Dizzy X Draztik, that's right, from Smack City Saviors, and we're going to be talking to him about his new band and what's coming up for them and what can we expect from these guys. So, Dizzy, how's it going?
Hey, John, what's happening, buddy?
Same old, same old. Glad to have you on here and get the Smack City Saviors out there a little bit more, that, you know, what we can to help out for you guys. And what can we expect from this band? What's new with this one?
So the basic problem with music right now is one word, and that word is complacency. And we are here to absolutely put our fist up complacency's ass. There's no real business in rock and roll of even trying to do it if you're just going to sit on your laurels and just accept what happens. You have to make the change yourself. You can't rely on major labels or sponsorship or being lauded as the next best thing. You have to get out there, you have to pound the pavement, you have to create your own fucking destiny. And I've learned that over 20 some odd years of doing this, and we're just here to shake the foundation, shake it to the core, and change everything you know about it. I know you hear a lot of bands say that, but we're the real deal. You know, this is rooted in Iggy and the Stooges, the MC5, Amen, just bands that thrive on disaster. That's the thing about our band. At any given second, it could explode. We're literally 5 human hand grenades, and it's a psychotic, violent, really wretched dynamic, but I wouldn't have it any other way, dude.
So you guys are more or less the DIY, do it yourself and get it out there yourself. That's good, because I've always said it before, guys, if you ain't going to do it, then nobody else is going to bring it to you. You have to work your ass off to get this.
Ain't nobody going to do it for you. And, you know, we're very fortunate to be signed to Devil's Music, which is great because some of my favorite bands, as well as my friends, are on that label. So we're in really good hands, and there's a lot of really cool stuff coming up. So I couldn't be happier. You know, I've had a major label deal. I was in a fairly big band, a couple of them really, and you know, this is the happiest I've ever been musically. I don't have some douchebag in a suit trying to tell me how many units to move, or, you know, you have to do this, or this has to be the single. It's entirely what we want to do. The guys at the label will step in if they think we're psychotic, you know, that we're making a bad decision. But they give us all the breadth in the world to do what we want to do because they believe it, they understand it, and they're in bands that do the same thing. So it's like a commune, but it's not for hippies.
Well, you know, one of the guys that's actually part of Devil's Music, J.J. Kruger, Charlie.
Absolutely. You know, Charlie, that's really, my boy, my PR guru.
Really great guy, and he's like, hey, man, you got to interview Dizzy with Smack City Saviors. I was like, you got it. And, you know, a lot of these bands that's on this label I've supported on here since day one of BODS Mayhem Hour, and that's what it's all about, is getting
absolutely, man. It's an honor for me or for us to be doing this because you're very supportive of our ilk, and speaking for all of those goofy bastards, we all appreciate it very much, dude.
Like I said, I hope I'm a voice for the bands, and, you know, at least they know I'm doing my part and staying true to the truth. I'm getting tongue-tied, staying true to...
No, we couldn't do it without people that support. You know, I think doing a show like this is equally as important as going out and playing a live show. Mm-hmm. It's, you know, rock and roll records aren't selling this year, to quote the Super Suckers. So any way you can get your voice out there and have people, you know, hear your mission statement is great, and I think you're doing a beautiful thing, dude. I think it's fucking rad.
I appreciate it, Dizzy. It means a lot, man, and I'm glad that, you know, people are taking notice to that. This is a question that I normally ask way into the interview, but since we're talking about, you know, this is a new band and things like that, digitally, since it's the digital age, do you think this is going to help out the Smack City Saviors, you know, as far as getting your music out there even more?
Platforms such as this, absolutely. I think with everything being digital now, you almost have to acquiesce to it and understand that, I mean, you're really not going to be selling physical albums anymore. I just heard the other day that there wasn't one artist in 2014 period that has sold platinum, that's gone platinum.
Wow.
I just actually saw the numbers earlier this week. That new Slipknot record did 116,000, which is insane considering most bands are lucky to do 10, 15,000 in their first week. I mean, if you do 10 or 15,000 in your first week, that's like banging Mila Kunis on the awesome scale. You know, people just don't buy physical copies anymore. And I understand that. I get that. It took me a minute to wrap my head around, you know, okay. But you learn to adapt. If you don't adapt, you become extinct. And I'm totally down for it. You know, I really hope that people would spend a few bucks on our product when it comes out. But I understand that people want something for nothing. So, you know, if you're going to pirate our record, at least be human enough to come out to one of our gigs and, you know, buy a couple stickers, buy a couple shirts, give us $20 for gas for the van. You know, I mean, there's ways to compensate the artist that doesn't necessarily involve buying a physical copy of the record. I don't even know if record stores exist anymore, but you know what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. You know, $1 here, $5 there. I mean, just something.
Well, you know, that T-shirt that you buy helps put gas in the van and gets that band to the next city where the cycle repeats itself, you know? And I just think it's rude and malicious to completely rip off a band that you claim you love, but then you won't go see them live. And then these same people get on Facebook or whatever and bitch that, oh, I didn't get to go see band X last night, opportunity in the world. So don't go stealing band shit and then bitch and whine that you weren't able to go see the show, because that $10 you could have bought on the record could have easily got your ass in the door to see the band. So shut the fuck up with that, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, there's a lot of times I don't get to go out and see the bands that I want to go see, but...
Me too, dude. King Diamond was just here last weekend. I didn't have the damn money to go, but I haven't stolen a King Diamond record either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm promoting them on here too, so... Exactly.
Good.
Exactly.
Good, because you don't want to make Grandma mad. Then he'll be shrieking at you, and, you know, nothing worse than a pissed-off Danish guy with upside-down crosses and a top hat. And
that's true.
It could get ugly fast.
That's very true. So Smack City Saviors, how long has this band been formed, Dizzy?
So that's an odd question, because it kind of... it's really weird. In its present incarnation with the lineup that we have now, the lineup that, to me, I think is the definitive version of this band, really has only been together probably the last few months. We kind of did a wholesale cleaning of house a few months ago due to logistics more than anything, really. I mean, we're spread out enough as it stands. We were way more spread out before. But this idea originated, and I'm going to have to kind of go back in time here a little bit. Okay. So... in 2002, when I left the Rejects, the Murder Dolls, I put a band together called Bomb Pop Mafia that was, I mean, and even what we're doing in Smack City Saviors is very reminiscent of what I did in that band. But Bomb Pop Mafia was very reminiscent of what I had just come out of. I got a nice cease and desist letter from the Popsicle Company saying I couldn't use Bomb Pop, and went through a couple different variations of band names. And then I just decided to go the Ramones route. And, you know, since my last name is Draztik, I decided I would just call the band the Drastiks. And I had met this kid named Jinx. He was originally from Des Moines like myself. He was flying back out for the weekend to see his mom. Unfortunately, it was the weekend that my mom passed away. So we became instantly close. He was a guitar player. He used to come see the Rejects play at Harry Mary's in Des Moines back in the day. He grew up on my music. We were instantly best friends, so we put the Drastiks together. We took it to Hollywood, played just a god-awful, horrible show, did some recordings. He ended up getting swooped up by Casey from Amen, and then that went south really fast. And I'm not putting blame on anything because Casey's my bro, so, I mean, shit just went weird. It does in dance. And then Jinx got picked up by The Dreaming, and ended up in this little band called Black Veil Brides. So then I was kind of stuck without a guitar player. And I was living here in Salt Lake City at the time. I moved out here in 2006, I believe it was. So I just started I was seeing different bands around here, trying to find like-minded individuals, ratty hair, eyeliner, really loved like old punk rock and glam, but yet really heavy stuff as well. And I found a couple characters that I'm still friends with. And I'd had this idea for Smack City Saviors as a band name going back to probably 2005 or so, when the Drastiks thing was kind of morphing into Jinx going to do these other things. So I always had the band name, dicked around with it for a little bit. In 2009, I moved back to Iowa for like a nanosecond. It was like the worst decision I ever made. Fuck Iowa. I love my friends, but I would never, ever go back there again. It's flat and it's boring. So I came back here, and I had like a solid vision of kind of what I wanted to do. Unfortunately, Salt Lake City isn't exactly the capital of people that look like me and want to sound like the stuff that I do. But I'm very fortunate in that in whatever notoriety I got, being a Doll or a Reject or even a Draztik, I'm fortunate enough to know people all over the world, all over the country. And I had the ability to start to handpick people. I could literally get on whatever social media site, look at somebody, check them out, send them an email and be like, hey, this is what I'm doing. Are you on board or not? It's either yes or no. I don't want a maybe, because there's no room for maybe. Right. And just, through process of elimination, I've gone through a lot of people. There was a joke that I should have a turnstile. You have to, and it really, there isn't anybody that's been through the ranks of this band that I have a huge problem with. It's, you're just not in the band for whatever reason. And the people that are in the band are in for the right reasons. And, I've just been very fortunate to hand pick people. A lot of people, bands get put together through a Craigslist ad or a flyer on the Guitar Center wall or whatever. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I'm just very blessed that due to my past, I can kind of separate the wheat from the chaff very easily and, offer something to people who are like-minded and may never get out of armpit wherever the fuck they are. So that works out pretty nicely. So that was a really long-winded answer, and I'm sure everybody listening is either asleep or putting their lips around their car exhaust right now. So sorry about that, folks.
No. That's what we want on here. But this is your guys' time to get out and get your voices heard. So this is what exact BODS Mayhem Hour is for. So are you guys doing an EP, Dizzy? Are you guys going to do a full length, or have you guys decided yet?
As it stands right now, we're doing an EP called Blood Makes Everything Better.
Okay.
If the songs keep coming as they're coming, maybe that will morph into a full length. But as of right now, it's just planned to be an EP.
Are we going to get like any teasers, like a track from you guys to hear possibly?
Yeah, okay. Absolutely. Here very soon. We're recording right now, actually, as we speak, 2 songs, Junkie Generation and 3 Minutes to Hell, both of which will be on the Devil's Music compilation, I think, unless we miss the deadline. Those guys can clarify that. I'm really used to missing deadlines. It's my middle name, really. But if they don't make it onto the compilation, we're releasing it as a single. I have a couple ideas in my head for the video for Junkie Generation. And, that's forthcoming. I'm actually doing the vocals. Me and Adam, our drummer, are going in the studio to wrap it all up next weekend, actually. In fact, actually a week from right this very second, we will be ears deep in sonic destruction.
What are some of your favorite tracks off this EP?
There's a song that when my bass player Brent brought it to me was the most 180 from anything I've ever done musically. I mean, if you know my history, people out there listening, I'm very snotty, very abrasive, very just 3-chord in, out, done. And this song it's a song called Bleed to Feed. It's really dark. It's very moody. It's really atmospheric. I was joking the other day, it was like Slayer raping The Cure at an Alice in Chains show. Like, it's just got so many different layers to it, and vocally it makes me go into a whole bunch of different places that I've never gone. And I think that's probably my favorite right now, just because it's so different. It's nothing that anybody who knows me would expect, yet it's everything you would expect. it's really, I don't know, man, it's such a cliche, but picking a favorite song is like picking a favorite child.
Yeah.
They're all good for various reasons. Junkie Generation actually goes back to May or June of 1998 when Jordison and I were doing the Rejects. We came up with a song, and then I wrote all the lyrics in that band, and I just wrote this song called Junkie Generation, and we played it live like once. It never really went anywhere, but I always kept the idea and the theme of the song around. And then doing this band, Junkie Generation was actually an entirely different song lyrically. We ran into some issues, so I was like, I've been sitting on this theme for a really long time. Let me see if it works. And, I put the lyrics up against the music, and it was a match made in heaven or hell or Kokomo, Indiana, wherever. It gelled. So I'm really partial to it. Brett, my bass player, is an amazing songwriter. So, he throws me a bone, and I sit there and tell him how awesome he is. And then I keep telling him how awesome he is, and he really likes that because he likes to hear how awesome he is. I don't know. I really enjoy being able to write songs with these people, and I hope people enjoy it. I really do. I really do hope people like it. At the end of the day, if they don't, everything's subjective. I'm not going to Cobain myself because somebody didn't like our songs. There's bigger fucking fish to fry out there.
People just give it a chance. That's all that you got to do. Open your minds and listen.
Exactly. And I think with my history, a lot of people are kind of expecting one certain thing, and we definitely deliver on that. But there's some new twists and turns here that it's been a privilege for me to have to experience those because I'm so used to just cracking a bottle of whiskey, yelling into a microphone, slamming it into the ground, and calling it a day. Mm-hmm. So it's been kind of neat to stretch myself.
So for you, Dizzy, what was it that maybe gave you that spark to want to be a musician, if you can remember?
A couple things, really. The one thing that did it, I can tell you almost to the day, hour, and minute when it happened, but I saw Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue on the cover of a magazine in the grocery store with my mom. I was probably fucking 10 years old. And I pointed at that picture and I looked at my mom and I said, that's what I'm going to do. And she looked at me and you could literally see doctor, lawyer, just parachute out of her ear. Well, that's gone. And she looked at me and said, if that's what you want to do, man, I got your back 100%. Let's make this happen. And she never, ever turned her back on that. She got to live the dream with me. When Joey and I were writing the Rejects Murder Dolls record, it was actually during two different Slipknot tours, but my mom had MS. She was in a wheelchair, so we just parked her on the side of the Slipknot stage while they did their thing. And we're all friends because we all grew up, so my mom was kind of like band mom. So she got to live it with me, and that was cool.
That's awesome.
The Hollywood glam scene was a really big deal. My mom actively was go out there and do that and set me out there. I was wandering around Hollywood at 14 years old, and to this day, some of the people from some of the most influential Hollywood glam bands are still really good friends of mine. And 20 years down the road, these underground bands that nobody heard of back then are starting to get a little more attention in almost an ironic way, but whatever brings attention brings attention. That was big. Prince was really, really big to me. Really, really young. Kiss made a huge impression. I remember the HBO special. I had a babysitter when that was on HBO, and in 1977, I was 3 years old, and this babysitter, I think she snuck her boyfriend in. They turned HBO on, and that captivated me. And I remember putting a whole mouthful of ketchup in my mouth, and then when my mom and dad came back from whatever date they were on, I just jumped out from behind the couch and screamed and spit ketchup all over I was wanting to be Gene Simmons. And there's a huge difference between being 3 years old and wanting to be Gene Simmons and being 40 years old and realizing what a fucking schmuck he is. But, it was just basically bands that were very bombastic, I guess, for lack of a better word. I was very image-oriented. I grew up dead set in the 80s. So even bands like Duran Duran or Devo, I remember seeing the Ramones really young, the Misfits. There were a lot of bands that molded me into who I am, for sure. Absolutely.
I don't give a crap what he says, but rock and roll is not dead and it will not die.
That dude lost the plot so long ago that, and when you have billions of dollars, you're so insulated from what's real. You know, would I love to live in his house? Absolutely. I don't know what the fuck I'd do with that much space. And it's way better than having to figure out where the fuck my next meal's coming from. But at the same time, I still have my dignity and I still have myself. And that's something that he lost 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So, you know, I would rather double coupon Tuesday it and be able to look in the mirror and put my head on the pillow at night than have to put a dead raccoon on my head to go play Rockstar. You know, fuck that guy, dude.
What do you hope a fan or anybody takes away when they hear your guys' new EP coming out?
Wow, dude, I've never really sat down and like psychoanalyzed what I would want somebody to feel. I hope it would be visceral. I mean, like, the anger in these songs, I hope, can connect on some level. You know, the stories I tell in our songs, everything I write comes from something in my life, be it my addictions or my experiences, good, bad, indifferent. So I think there's something in there for somebody, be it a song about fucking or a song about, you know, plunging a spike into your arm. I think there's something almost everybody can relate to. I don't write fantasy. You know, I don't write fucking Theory of a Hinderback songs. You know, I've been fortunate to live a really, really good life and live out a lot of dreams, but I've also had a lot of weird, fucked up, nasty shit happen. A lot of it my own doing. And I think people can relate to that. You know, I've got 9, almost 10 years under my belt of not shoving half a Columbia up my nose or spiking something into my arm. You know, maybe somebody who's going through that can relate. So I guess you're basically getting a snapshot of what's going on. So if you can relate to it, great. If you think it's some weird cartoon fantasy, great. You know, I just hope it makes you want to fight and rebel, dude. I mean, the status quo is boring. And, you know, that's why I love, like, my friend Casey's band, Amen, because they just flat out don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're coming from. Like, we're going to hurt each other live. It's getting on stage is like a fucking hockey game, dude. Somebody's going to get fucking hurt. I don't do this to be safe. I don't do this as a hobby or, you know, I guess I'll go play Rockstar Friday night. You know, we get on stage, dude. We fucking, even in the studio, like, this is it. You know, I've recorded vocal takes, dude, where I was puking blood at the end of it, and I'm completely okay with that. It's, you know, I have no problem bleeding. Kind of goes back to the record. Blood makes everything better. And you can't bleed unless there's something behind it.
If you're not singing the songs that you want to sing and putting it out there, then how can we relate to it? You know what I'm saying?
Right. And, like, I have no problem sitting down and writing lyrics with other people. Usually it works better if it's for them than myself. I have a hard time. If somebody was to hand me it, like, we'll never get songwriters, dude. We'll never have Diane Warren come in and write us a cheesy-ass Aerosmith ballad, or fucking Desmond Child come in and rework us and give us You Gave Love a Bad Name, Part 7. Like, I could never put the meat and potatoes into a song that I didn't hand write, that I didn't live. There's no way I could convey someone else's emotion. As much as I want to do our covers record, and I'm going to do a solo covers record, it's more about taking those songs, putting my head into where they were at and how would I feel with that. I can't put the emotion into the song that the song deserves if I didn't write it. Does that make any sense, John, at all?
Yeah, it does, because, like I said, if you're not putting the music out there that you can't stand behind, then how are we going to feel about it?
Mm-hmm.
Dizzy, how much is writing a release for you? It's
cathartic, period, 100% across the board. I guess it really depends on the subject matter or where I'm at the time. You know, I've written a lot of stuff that's probably a lot deeper than people will give me credit for on the surface that I don't know what to do with because it doesn't fit the Saviors. It doesn't fit, you know, whatever. I mean, you know, I've lost a lot of people in my life, dude, like over 20 people in the last 20 years. And, you know, I've got volumes of stuff written about those experiences, you know, and that's very cathartic. When Paul from Slipknot passed, he was one of my very, very best friends. I was literally catatonic for a week. I just literally laid pretty much on the floor, dude, of where I was living. I was in Omaha at the time. I was moving back from Iowa to Salt Lake when he passed. And I just literally laid there in a pile of snot and tears and whiskey and just wrote and wrote. I wrote on every surface I could find. When my notebook was full, I started taking fucking crayons. I had a cement floor and just writing. I'd take Sharpies and write on the wall just to get that fucking venom out of me. To be honest, my life is pretty rad right now, dude. I tend to write from a more reflective standpoint and put myself back into that dark place. Squeeze a little bit more of that demon sponge. Try and, is there any residual bullshit left in me? Let's try and squeeze that out. So, I mean, I think writing in any sense, whether you're Kerouac or fucking the chick that wrote those bullshit Twilight books, like, writing in any sense is getting something that's been bottled up inside of you out, be it fantasy, be it pain, be it reality, be it pleasure, whatever. Yeah. The spoken and written word is currency that you can never cash in because it's so valuable. It's more than gold. That's your soul, dude.
When can we expect this EP to be released from you guys?
The great question. When we get it done and the label puts it out. I would hope soon. I mean, we're nearing the end of the year now. There's no point in even attempting to try and do it now. There's too much end-of-year rush product-wise. So I would say Q1 of 2015. That was the most un-rock and roll shit I've ever said in my life. According to demographics. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, no, early 2015. I mean, we're planning a tour mid-2015.
Okay.
So obviously we need to have that out in advance. The single will come out. Like I said, I'm kind of planning an idea for a video. I would love to do a one-off somewhere, maybe with one of the other bands on the bill. Ideally, and I don't know if I'm letting the cat out of the bag here or whatever, but ideally it would be a Devil's Music tour. In my brain, it's us, Dead and Wasted, and the Nothing. And Gathering a Nun. We got to have them on there too, otherwise Tracy would slit my fucking throat. So.
Hey, you know what, TB, ever since, Blitz Kid, he's formed a Gathering of None. I've told him this 1,000 times. His music has really took it to another level. I mean... that is some next level shit that I still can't wrap my brain around. And I'm not saying it should be Blitz Kid Part 2, but it is so cool that I'm like, how can one human being write stuff that rad? Yeah, I love TB to death, man. I mean, TB is a really, really good friend of mine, and, losing his dad and things like that, and conversations we've had and stuff with his music, I'm very, very impressed. Highly impressed. Right.
Oh, dude, it's sick. So, yeah, hopefully it'll be like Gathering a Nun, The Nothing, us and Dead and Wasted. I keep hinting to Casey Chaos from Amen that we're going to do a tour. And by hinting, I mean that I tell him point blank, get a gram, this is going to happen. So, Casey, if you're listening to this, and I'm going to tag you when this interview comes out, you short motherfucker, that fucking tour is going to happen, which will be the last tour I ever do because I will die on that tour. I'll probably die on our regular tour anyway, so I get to die twice.
Oh, damn it, no.
Fuck, dude, I've already died a couple times. It's not all it's cracked up to be, but I'm still here. Like Ice-T said, you should have killed me last year.
So how can people stay in touch with you guys, Dizzy? How can they, keep up with you all? How can they do that?
So I would give a direct link to my Facebook page, but God only knows what my fucking name is going to be on there right now because those fucking fascist cunts. So the best thing you can do is just go to Facebook and search Smack City Saviors. Go to our fan page like that. You can search Dizzy Draztik, Draztik. That'll take you to my fan page. It will also let you know what my real name is because they're cocksuckers. So yeah, I guess we're avoiding my personal page for now until the label and myself get it sorted. But I do have a fan page at Dizzy Drastik. Just search that. Smack City Saviors, do a search there. I'm in the process of doing a Smack City Instagram right now. We're just kind of building our social media empire. If anybody wants to just shoot the shit, whatever, Dizzy Draztik Music at yahoo.com. So that's DIZZYDRAZTIKMUSIC at yahoo.com. I'm more than willing to shoot emails back and forth with people. We're just in a weird spot right now until we figure out what's going on with my name. We will have the actual band website up here pretty soon, but I don't even think people go to bands.coms anymore. I think they're always looking for SoundCloud or Bandcamp. DizzyDrastik.bandcamp.com. It's got a bunch of old Rejects Murder Dolls stuff. The 2 singles I did a year and a half ago, Your False Savior and Lil Darlin' Dead are up there. I'm not a huge fan of either song. I mean, they're good, but it's just not representative of where I'm at now. But they're there, and they're $1 a piece, and, hey, we could use the money. So there's that. Yeah, Google search me, my name, you'll find me. I'm out there. I'm pretty easy.
Okay.
My phone number is 801-60, and yeah, right, that's going to happen.
Before I let you go, would you care to do a promo for my show?
Absolutely, dude. Hey, motherfuckers, it's Dizzy X Draztik from the Smack City Saviors, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour. Thanks, Dizzy.
Thank you, John.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.